Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area weather forecast. This evening, mostly clear and a low around -10. Northwest wind around 5 miles per hour, becoming calm in the evening. Tomorrow, supposed to be sunny with a high near 23. Wind chill values right now ranging between -1 and -11, with wind gusts as high as 25 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy and a low around 15. Wednesday, partly sunny and a high near 36. Temperature right now, a real feel of 3 degrees. Getting set for Wildcat Insider on News Radio, KMAN.
And KMAN Sports Director Mitch Fortner.
Well, gosh dang it, man. It feels now like clockwork. Ayoka Lee, mid-season injuries, along with an incredibly hot start in regular season and Big 12 play. You're feeling Big 12 championship, and then here comes the major setback to your All-American. We did get an update from K-State Athletics a few moments ago. We'll address those latest details here in a couple of moments. K-State men going to Allen Fieldhouse, and they were thinking comeback and upset alert in Lawrence after spotting the Jayhawks nearly the cover. That still to come as well later on in this first hour. We are out at 5:30. That's when we will start pregame coverage of the national championship game right here on News Radio KMAN. The Ohio State Buckeyes, Notre Dame fighting Irish. Of course, former K-State quarterback Will Howard is going to be playing the national championship game for the Buckeyes. Can Will Howard get it done tonight in Atlanta? 5:30 pregame coverage, kickoff after 6:30. Here on News Radio KMAN. Once we end national championship coverage, we will go to a tape delay of Chiefs Kingdom, which, by the way, how about that victory over the Houston Texans? What was the final score? 30? Was it 23-12? Was that the final?
23-14.
Or 14 with the safety. Yeah, at the end there. Lindsay and I, my girlfriend, we were down in Power and Light, actually.
Oh, nice.
Because we were there for the Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Gaffigan show.
Oh, okay.
And kind of should have kept in mind that, yeah, it was going to be busy down there. We're going to try to get a bite to eat somewhere, anywhere. And every place was packed, at least an hour wait. Because if you know anything about a bar on game day, people like to camp out for hours at one table and slowly order drinks, if that, to keep the tab going.
Felix. A couple big Felix plays.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got the dance finally. That's the first time in his Chiefs career that he's busted out the K-State. I forget what he called it. Like it was some sort of like a monkey thing, like a monkey dance or something like that.
Because that's the one that he saw on. Is that the one that he saw in New Orleans? Or am I thinking of someone else?
No, that was Toby.
Thank you.
The guy that just stood there.
That's right. And yeah.
Felix got the shout out from Mahomes post game too.
He did.
Felix having a much better sophomore year than he did his rookie year. So I'm super proud of him. I saw both plays that he was in on the sack. Was he credited for a sack and a half, or was it just one technically?
I think it was just the one sack, and then it was the tackle for loss in the backfield was the other one.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to the Chiefs, and now it's the Buffalo Bills this weekend. We'll have plenty of Chiefs coverage this week, including voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtz, is joining us on Wednesday. We're going to have a very jam-packed guest show on Wednesday with a lot going on. K-State men will play on Wednesday against the Baylor Bears in Waco. Can Scott Drew finally get Jerome Tang? We'll see. I mean, K-State's feeling kind of good right now.
You better hope so if you're Scott Drew. If not this year.
But we'll definitely tackle them in a little bit later on. I want to lead off with the K-State women's basketball team. They are now the 10th ranked team in the nation, and they get another victory. They are now 19-1. 14-game winning streak. That's the second longest streak in women's basketball history at K-State, and 7-0 in Big 12 play. It's the same start as they had last year in Big 12 play, just a tad bit later in the timeline, though, for Ayoka Lee. I'll just kind of break down what I saw, because I was at the game yesterday, and first of all, may I say this, a really good crowd. It kind of reminded me of last year, too, around this time. I think Texas was coming to town and had a similar 8,000 mark. This time it was about 7,000 fans. inside of Bramlage Coliseum for this matchup against a not very good record-wise, not very good Arizona State team. First of all, Arizona State, they brought out everything, including the kitchen sink, to try to pull an upset bid on K-State. They pulled out all the stops, probably going to be their best performances when it comes to against the top teams in the league. Probably going to be their best performances of the year. K-State able to win by double digits, but they give up 69 to an Arizona State team that did actually average about 70 points a game. I'll give them that. They only went 7 deep, could not shoot a 3, but they were 56% from 2. K-State had a hot shooting day, 13 of 24 from three-point range, which tied a season high for three-point makes. I could go on and on about a breakdown of this game because I had a ton of takeaways just from what I saw on the floor. But I will take you towards the end of the first half. Ayoka Lee's in the game. She had played about 12, 13 minutes, 7 points, just 1 rebound. Not actually a whole lot of stats besides the points, her 7 points. Ayoka leaves the game with about 4 minutes to go in the first half. She looked fine. Took a couple of tumbles in the game, but got back up. She looked fine. Actually had a closeout on a three-point shot in the corner. Didn't get the block, but she put a hell of an effort into it. And then she didn't come back in. And I noticed with about 2 minutes to go in the first half, if you're there sitting on that west side, everybody probably saw it. Ayoka Lee goes behind the scores table and heads to the locker room, and she's limping. And I'm like, oh, God. I mean, my exact reaction was my heart sunk. I said a few words to myself, and it was hard to enjoy the rest of the game, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, when, after what Jeff Mitty told us in the press conference after the game, I kind of blacked out for the rest of the press conference because I was really saddened to hear that Ayoka Lee is once again injured. Here's Jeff Mitty after the game.
It's not good, guys. It's not good. And I don't have a definitive update, but it's not going to be a week or two.
An All-American who is, in my opinion, the absolute GOAT of K-State women's basketball history, once again is going to miss significant time due to an injury. Tim, I know you watched the game yesterday. I'm sure you had the same reaction that when you just see her not return and then you hear those first couple of words, guys, it's not good, you're sick. You're shocked because it happens once again to Ayoka Lee, who is such a phenomenal player but has been injury prone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that this happening wasn't kind of in the recesses of my mind a little bit, the possibility that this could happen again. It's happened too much. Our bodies don't, things don't get better as we get older, especially with the kind of stuff the Yoki has had. So I this whole season, there's been part of me that's just been like, all right, we're still going strong. Obviously, I at the time was pretty down, and to hear Mitty's tone, I mean, you guys just heard it, real solemn, real, not a lot of hope there, just pretty bleak, which would make sense because he's been down this road before. He's Yoki getting injured has derailed a season. It's also kind of taken them from great to good. And so now I guess the next question that needs to be asked is kind of how do you kind of go forward from here? Obviously, there's a chance that she could still return to the team before the end of the season, which is great. But you kind of have to just shift your focus to you have still a whole bunch of promise on this team. You have a whole bunch of veterans on this team. Everything is still ahead of you. A lot of stuff is still on the table. Can the remaining pieces step up and kind of continue playing at the level that they're playing at? I believe that they can, to a certain point. When you take someone like Ayoka Lee, who reasonable people can argue is the greatest women's basketball player in Kansas State history. You can't 100% replace that in any manner. But I really liked what we saw from some of the younger forwards that kind of came in and had some time. Eliza Maupin and Sanchez both came in. They're going to get a lot more time. I think they're ready for it. They kind of, been stuck on the back of the bench. And so it's just time to find people to step up and kind of – the good thing is you don't have to completely reinvent yourself. That's nice. That's had to happen in the past where they've had to completely change how they're playing because they lose kind of that focal point. But, it's just that it's got to figure it out. And then you hope that when it gets to the important time of the season, you can get her back for one final run.
You said 3 words there that also Jeff Mittie mentioned in his post-game press conference. There is really no replacing Lee.
If you were to take Paige Beckers out, UConn doesn't have a backup to her, you don't have a backup that's like Beckers. Notre Dame doesn't have a backup like Hidalgo, so, it's a significant change for us at both ends of the floor. You said defensively, but defensively she patrols the paint so well that it allows you to get beat off the bounce. You saw it in the second half. We didn't have the rim protection that we normally have. And those guards were pretty free in there once they broke about the 10-foot mark. So Lee brings a lot of rim protection, and we certainly didn't have it in the second half.
A couple of things. One, I feel just extremely bad for her. She does not deserve this. It's like, us K-State fans, when something is going well, and you have it in your mind that, like I'm sure a lot of us do have, that this is a team that should win the Big 12 championship, should make a run in the NCAA tournament. When K-State's hitting its full stride and they're winning a ton of games and they've won 14 in a row now, here come the sports gods to deliver a elbow drop off the top rope into your soul. And it's happened numerous times. It's just the same story on repeat now for Ayoka Lee. Last year it happened, I think it was in the middle of January. It was right after K-State beat a top 10 Texas team at home by 3 points, and then here comes the word that Ayoka Lee has a foot injury and she's going to be out a significant amount of time. She ended up missing 7 games. So here's the word from K-State about Ayoka Lee's status. The word is that she did fracture her foot, somewhere in her foot fracture. There's been no official word yet if she's going to need surgery or anything like that, but she did have an MRI done. She had an X-ray, did confirm that there is a fracture. It is probable that she will return before the end of the regular season. And look, I love K-State women's basketball so much. I was a huge fan of the K-State women before I ever was a K-State men's basketball fan. Did not have good men's basketball at K-State until I was 15, 16 years old. Nicole Oldie, I'm from Clay Center, right around Clay Center. Nicole Oldie played in the early 2000s. That was what a perfect time for me to get to know K-State athletics through football and through K-State women's basketball. I've been a diehard fan ever since. I feared the worst. It was a rough 24 hours. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Because, selfishly, as a fan, I want K-State to go all the way. Do they have the talent to do so? I think so, but there's a lot of tough teams out there. We just watched here on the TV, UCLA in the second half blow out a pretty solid Baylor team, and UCLA's undefeated and the number 1 team in the nation. I would love a Big 12 championship from this program that hasn't had one in quite some time, well over a decade at this point. But looking at the schedule and what K-State has coming up, they're about to enter the toughest part of their schedule. 6 of the top 8 teams that, according to the net ranking, is the toughest opponents are still to come, and who, again, just worry me the most, honestly. Even though Iowa State's not having their best year, I worry about them. And then, of course, you have the team now that's number 9 in the country, TCU, like K-State, who's only lost 1 game. That game was on a neutral site. That is coming up on February 2nd. That's coming up real soon. and they're not going to have Ayoka Lee. Those two teams I mentioned, their leading scorer is a center. Their leading scorer is a top 4 scorer in the Big 12. K-State's 2-point defense with Ayoka Lee not on the floor against Arizona State wasn't very good. They struggled to stay in front of athletic players. Points in the paint were coming almost too easy for Arizona State at times. They earned everything. I mean, they were actually pretty impressive on how they were able to score. And here comes, Jaylen Brown was 11 of 14 from the floor. They were 56% from 3, or 56% from 2. They only made 2 threes in the game and scored 69 points against statistically the best defense in America. Point differential is the largest you'll find in college or pro basketball in the United States. So it's fair to have some pretty major concerns at this point. The plan moving forward, Tim mentioned a whole bunch of names. I thought Eliza Maupin was really good yesterday. She had a couple of blocks. Her defense was pretty good. The bigs she took on as playing the 5, and Arizona State just loved to just park in the paint. With no Lee, make them shoot. And K-State did make Arizona State pay with 13 3-pointers. But can K-State stay that hot? Most likely they're not going to. It's going to calibrate at some point, and they're going to get back to what is typically their average this year, about 38%. But lately they've been red hot. As a matter of fact, let me give you some numbers real quick. K-State 3-point shooting lately, 41% in Big 12 play. It's insanely good. That is tops in the Big 12. Over the last 4 games, K-State is 47% from 3. They are off the charts right now, good from 3, and that is led by Tamira Poindexter, who's just as hot. Over the last 4 games, 53%. But in these tough games against better competition coming up, those percentages are not going to be what they are, most likely. Just my guesstimation, educated guess on that one. So you're going to need a little bit of an inside game. Who's going to be the one that steps up? Well, Eliza Maupin was actually pretty good in Ayoka Lee's absence last season. She had 2 games in double digits, had a huge game against Baylor last year on the road. Her game is what won that game in Waco last year. She had a 3-pointer, and she's not a 3-point shooter. But in this scenario, the preferred outcome would actually be Kennedy Taylor, because who's going to actually body up and try to defend these bigs that's coming up on K-State's schedule? The person I think could probably do that the most is Kennedy Taylor. Well, I think she's struggling right now. She's not playing her best minutes. She's not seeing a ton of time on the floor. She's been missing bunnies, just not as competitive as she once was. So the thing is, though, that K-State's been here before, and I definitely want to dig into that a little bit later on, like how it's happening too often that K-State is having these injuries come up with Ayoka Lee and K-State needing to adjust. They used to have to completely adjust the playbook. Hopefully that's not the case moving forward, but players obviously have to step up. Probably kind of nice that K-State doesn't play a midweek game. Well, that the Ayoka Lee news settle a little bit, and then they're back at it at 2 o'clock against Colorado, a team that is struggling this year. And that game will be in Boulder, Colorado, and in elevation.
And there'll be a little sense of revenge for those that were on the team last year.
Last year, yeah. Well, Vaughn Lay, I forget her name, but Vaughn Lay.
Not on the team anymore.
Was at 5. She's at Baylor.
Nicolette Vaughn Lay, I think.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. But
right.
She's pretty good, and she's now at Baylor. Baylor losing to UCLA earlier today.
They still got 3 to 4 men in a couple of the other.
Yeah, but they're not a 5 seed anymore. As a matter of fact, let's see here. Right now, Colorado on the year. Okay, they're 3-4 in Big 12 play. A little bit better than I thought they were, but 12-6 in the conference. 12-6 overall. 3-4 in Big 12 play. They're not a NCAA tournament team quite yet. From what I could tell, they're pretty solid though at home. They're 9 wins on the year at home. I mean, that's just based on their stats and besides 3-point shooting. I mean, they kind of remind me of a Utah situation going on the road. Not just the elevation, but just looking at the statistics and what they're good at. But K-State throttled Utah earlier this year, but again, no Ayoka Lee. But again, I mean, not to sound like a broken record, because we were in this exact same spot last year, almost a year to the day, in this same spot. You feel gutted for Ayoka Lee, but her not being ruled out for the year, should be back by the end of the regular season, if not sooner than that. You know what? I feared the worst after Jeff Mitty said it's not good, guys. I thought she was done. I thought we had watched Ayoka Lee play for the final time in her career at K-State. I will absolutely take back before the end of the regular season.
Yes.
It's a consolation prize, we'll call it that, other than missing just a game or two or a week or two. She's going to miss some gigantic games. So keep that in mind. Like we mentioned earlier, Tim, I think you were the first to say it, the TCU game might decide the Big 12 champion. Well, now it's not Big 12 think of Big 12 championship when you still have 11 games to go in Big 12 play. Listen, at this point, win by any means necessary. They were actually pretty good without Yoki early on. Mm-hmm. It just kind of caught up to him. And then after that, like when Yoki came back, they just weren't the same team. They were 4-5 after she came back. Just not the same team. Struggled with Iowa State. Losing at home. You get bounced in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Just kind of feels like they lost some gas or lost some mojo there in the second half.
Iowa State, that's another one that's going to be big if they don't have her back. They just are able to attack exactly the Yoki-sized hole that they're going to have. But
I mean, you take that, it's Colorado, then you host Iowa State. Mm-hmm. So if Yoki is back by, let's just say 2 games left in the regular season, you still have the road trip to Iowa State. And, that's kind of right, because her first game back last year was at Iowa State. That was like a 2-overtime game, and Yoki got that buzzer beater at the end of the first overtime to send it to a second, but that was also the introduction of Audie Crooks to our lives.
Right. And
how much of a human relevant to a bulldozer she can be.
Just a machine. I mean, she's impressive for sure.
One game at a time.
One game at a time.
One game at a time. Saturday, 2:00. By the way, that I believe that Iowa State game is actually going to be an ESPN broadcast. I think, if I remember correctly, it's a Thursday, and it's an ESPN game. I'll have to go double check on that. I know there's like a Fox game coming up as well. But that final score looks like Baylor. That's not right. I'll go get a final score a little bit later on. I don't think I'm looking at the right one. But that game gone final in Newark, New Jersey, the Coretta Scott King Classic, Baylor and UCLA. The women's basketball team for Baylor taking on the number 1 team in the nation earlier today. Get a final score here in just a moment. But right now, let's go ahead and take our first break on Wildcat Insider. And when we come back, reaction to K-State losing by 10 to KU, because it feels like there's kind of some inspiration out of this contest from a specific freshman. That's coming up next on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
In a world that thrives on connection, the power of community leadership is more important than ever. In just 90 minutes on February 11th, starting at 7:30 in the morning, the annual 60 and 60 Leadership Breakfast presented by the Manhattan Mercury and Manhattan Chamber of Commerce will take place at the Manhattan Convention Center Hilton Garden Inn. An inspiring morning filled with knowledge, connection, and empowerment. 6 leaders in our community will present their company's most successful programs, provide tools and ideas that you can use to grow as a leader and as a company. Tickets can be purchased online at tickets.themercury.com/events. Attendees will receive 60 ideas in an exclusive supplement package that will give you the knowledge to grow personally as well as professionally. 60 and 60, February 11th from 7:30 to 9:30. Presented by the Manhattan Mercury, the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce, and News Radio KMAN.
At McCown Gordon Construction, we improve lives by building authentic relationships. No matter the project size, our clients enjoy unmatched talent and resources in the Manhattan area market. Early collaboration with our pre-construction team ensures cost certainty, preventing surprises. Whether it's new construction or expansion, our team simplifies complex projects. We build to serve the community. McCown Gordon Construction, proud builder for K-State and the KSU Foundation. Visit McCownGordon.com.
Have you noticed a change in your loved one's behavior? Are they suddenly withdrawn, given up activities they once loved, or even the opposite, becoming more outgoing and talkative? They could be covering up feelings and thoughts of suicide. I'm Montana with Pawnee. When you notice these changes, start the conversation. Ask, are you okay? If you need immediate assistance, you can call or text 988 to connect with the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or contact Pawnee's Crisis Stabilization Unit at 1-800-609-2002. Reach out to save a life.
We're looking for good people who want to work with good people while informing and entertaining the community. News Radio KMAN has part-time staff openings, and we would like to talk with you about how you can be a part of what we do daily. Drop us a note on the Message Us tab at newsradiokman.com or email KMANnews@1350kman.com. That's the Message Us tab at newsradiokman.com or KMAN News at 1350kman.com with the subject line, Now Hiring.
At this very moment, Doctors Without Borders is on the ground in communities around the world, delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most. Our teams are bandaging war-wounded patients caught in the crossfire in Sudan, providing clean drinking water in Haiti, and performing emergency C-sections in Yemen. Doctors Without Borders teams are in over 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving work is made possible by our movement of supporters, people like you who help our patients even when they're half a world away. At Doctors Without Borders, we won't stop working to bring our patients and their communities from crisis to care.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, know it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm Cole Dutchendorf with a Wildcat Insider Sports Update. K-State senior center Ayoka Lee will be sidelined following an injury to her foot, the program announced on Monday. A return before the end of the regular season is probable, but more will be known in the next couple of weeks. Lee suffered the setback during game action on Sunday against Arizona State. An X-ray was conducted on Sunday and a precautionary MRI taken on Monday confirmed the fracture in her foot. This season, Lee is averaging 16 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.3 blocked shots. She ranks 5th in the nation and leads the Big 12 in field goal percentage and is 18th in the nation in blocks per game. K-State is coming off an 81-69 win Sunday over Arizona State. They're now ranked number 10 in the AP poll. They've won 14 consecutive games, which is the 4th longest active streak in the nation, and will play at Colorado this Sunday at 2 p.m. Today are the quarterfinals of the Twin Valley League tournament from Frankfort High School. On the girls' side, the 5-3 Blue Valley Rams will face the number 2 seeded and undefeated Hanover Wildcats at 6:15. Frankfort will play on the consolation side on Friday. On the boys' side, 5-seeded Blue Valley will face the 4 seed in the Clifton Clyde Eagles at 4:45, and Frankfort will take on the 3 seed Centralia also at 4:45. Former K-State quarterback Will Howard leads the Ohio State Buckeyes as they take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the CFP National Championship tonight. Pre-game starting after Wildcat Insider at 5:30 on News Radio KMAN.
They're showing a promo right now on Fox of Super Bowl coming up February 9th. And Rob Gronkowski was on the promo with Carissa Thompson. Rob Gronkowski might be the worst actor I've ever seen.
It's not good.
He is trash. But he's a name.
You don't enjoy his insurance commercials?
You know, actually on the what's the thing he does? What's the with Sam Elliott?
Yeah, it's the US. It's the
USAA. Is that what we're talking about?
Is it USA? No, it's hang on.
He's okay there, but I think it's just
it is USA.
Sam Elliott who kind of leads the charge there.
Cole was right.
Cole, thank you very much for that update. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson from the Manhattan Mercury. Also, you know him from Power K Game Day, and Cole Dutchendorf. What did I say?
No, I was just laughing at the thanks for the update. Thanks for the update for the USA.
Buddy.
Yeah, for the USA. Please carry on.
I think he was referencing the sports update as well.
Before we came back.
But the USAA is equally as important, I think.
Thanking him for the sports update makes a lot more sense.
Well, what's worse, K-State men's defense or acting from Rob Gronkowski?
I mean, they're both getting paid to do it. So
that's very true. So the bad news from Sunday was Ayoka Lee is going to miss an extended period of time, maybe back for the end of the regular season, maybe a game or two at the end of the regular season. Don't know. We'll hopefully know more in a couple of weeks. We'll get probably another update from K-State Athletics with another press release like they did with the initial update earlier this afternoon. For the K-State men, well, the bad news is, what was the line, 14.5 at tip-off? K-State damn near spotted KU the cover. I got a question for K-State fans out there. How much money did you lose by KU not covering in this game? Because a lot of people reacted, and I just know because I don't bet, but I noticed from a lot of people that was just reacting about the spread that they thought it would be easy money, like KU would just waltz all over K-State and win this thing by 25. That'd be easy money to cover 14.5. K-State loses by 10, so it's the Cats with the cover in that one. Yeah, I mean, you could say, yes, certainly. If K-State does not give up a 14-0 run and Jerome Tang doesn't have to burn 2 timeouts in the first 4 minutes, K-State wins the game. They actually outscored KU the rest of the way, 74-70. But a lot added up to what turned out to be a pretty disastrous start. No defense. You can't hit a 3 to save your life. K-State starts 0 for 11 from 3-point range, and they just shoot 2 of 15 in the first half. Did settle for some shots. Did have some open looks, but again, didn't hit it. Look, to me, it's the same story as what we've seen for mostly all these other losses. But honestly, the best effort, or I would say the second best effort to make a comeback. Mm-hmm. The best effort, no doubt, in a true road environment, Big 12 play, no doubt in Big 12 play, to actually almost pull off a comeback. And you never know, potentially win the game. The best effort to me was Drake in the Sprint Center, where terrible first half, terrible first 16 minutes. Here comes the Cats. And they end up taking the lead. They go to overtime, and just a terrible showing in overtime. But in Allen Fieldhouse, like I just mentioned before, all that added up. K-State, though, they stuck around. They didn't go away, despite just terrible defense, despite KU scoring 10 of their first 11 possessions in the second half. Hunter Dickinson doing whatever he wanted in the first 4 minutes of the second half. K-State atrocious on the defensive glass, and KU tearing them up in second chance points. Despite all that terribleness, Cats are only down 10 at the half, and they get within 6 in the second half after a run by KU to start the second half. 2 things. K-State's offense got a lot better with inside game, obviously, because they couldn't score from 3. They were terrible in the first half. I thought Coleman Hawkins, when he touched I almost said football, when he touched the basketball, some really good things were happening, despite his 3-point shooting. He was passing at a high level. He was rebounding. 10 assists. His defense was okay. It was okay.
Yeah.
But he finished with 15 points, a team high. And then another player that stood out to me was actually David Castillo. He was out there again in crunch time trying to lead this comeback. He played quite a few minutes. He had 23 minutes off the bench, and for the second straight game, he led the team in plus-minus. I do read into plus-minus a little bit more than others. He hit a couple of threes when K-State was needing points, when they were threatening the comeback. But also, I looked at David, I was like, finally, somebody can play some defense. He actually stayed in front of his guy. He actually contested shots. So if I'm Jerome Tang And I just gave this true freshman, and I'm talking about it in the media, I'm giving this true freshman a task. I'm putting a little pressure on his shoulders. I want him to fail loudly on the floor and learn from those. I got to say, even though he didn't score the most amount of points, didn't shoot the ball a ton, didn't really touch the ball a whole lot, I was rather encouraged by David Castillo's performance. And I give credit to Jerome Tang because this team did fight. At this point in the season, you're halfway done. You're stinking. You've lost 7 of your last 8. 7 wins at this point. Bad. A lot of teams would just give up, fold up, call it a day. They didn't.
No.
Jerome Tang is still motivating this team to go play, and you can argue that they played competitively the most minutes they have all year long. So I will give them credit to that. It's a moral victory, I guess. I'm not the biggest believer in those, but this team will take them where they can get them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Jerome Tang probably said 3 or 4 times in his post-game comments the fact that he was not happy with the result, obviously. Wishes that it was a win, wants to win. This doesn't take the place of a win. But when you've had some just real awful, both gut-wrenching losses and TCU, and then just being annihilated off the face of the planet like Houston, when you have stuff like that, much better K-State teams than this one have lost by more than 10 points at Allen Fieldhouse. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into that. It's not when you get down to it, it's a false equivalency, but it is something to build off of. This team, as we've mentioned, barring some kind of ridiculous run through the Big 12 tournament, is not going to be making any kind of postseason. This is figuring out who will be able to help you heading into next year, getting people minutes so they feel valued, so they want to stick around. Guys like David Castillo are, that's going to be huge. Having this experience of, battling through Allen Field. How many freshman point guards? Let's see, he played 23 minutes? Mm-hmm. How many freshman point guards play 23 minutes in Allen Fieldhouse and don't turn the ball over?
Yeah.
Once. I mean, that's not, again, it's not a win. He only scored 6 points, but it is at least something that you can that is tangible and that you can cling to it. And you know what? It's not K-State's year, but this is something that you can build on, and that has what's kind of been lacking so far.
Well, I got a question for you because you were at the game. I was not. What was the environment like? Because, again, K-State spotted KU 14 points. Yeah. It didn't seem like it was your typical crazy Allen Fieldhouse environment until they needed to speak up, start making some noise in the final 4 minutes to try to keep K-State from closing the gap into a 1 score. I mean, if I'm Jerome Tang and I'm post-game and I find some way to win that game, I'm just like, look, our strategy was to spot them 14 points. Take them out of the game, take the crowd out of the game, so we don't have to worry about that. We just go play basketball the rest of the way and pull off a comeback.
Yeah, I think that, and it's funny that you asked that because I had brought this up yesterday whenever I was talking to someone about the game. It was weird. I've been to, I think this is my 4th or 5th K-State KU game in Allen Fieldhouse. So I've seen it when K-State has gone in there ranked and lost. And I've seen, I was there for the SFI travel game. I was there for some good ones and then some 15-point losses or whatever. And the edge was not there. I don't think, and maybe that's just because, that 14-point run to start off the game, it's a lot easier to just, okay, so they are as bad as we thought they were, and we're doing this again. It felt similar. Yeah. I compared it to what, take off the last 2 years of K-State KU football wise where they've been competitive. It felt like the previous 10 to 12 matchups where it was just, K-State would go to town on them. K-State fans would be excited to start the game, but like eventually everyone is comfortably excited, but not ecstatic. Like, this is what we thought was going to happen. And then, there was some panic that set in whenever they got it down to 6. But it never, it never felt like it. Jerome Tang said, the environment was part of the reason why we got down 14. I don't think that it got to its craziest. I don't think we got peak Allen Fieldhouse. I just don't think that crowd was. It was. I don't know. It was a weird. It was a weird afternoon. Also, a noon game. Those are kind of odd to have a big game. Well, it's not a big game, but those are normally in the evening.
Sure.
K-State KU games are normally in the evening.
Well, I think what you're saying is since they dropped the capacity down 1,000 to put in some Michael Scott video boards, that is just not what it used to be. It's not as loud anymore. Coleman Hawkins said after the game he felt like K-State should have won the game.
If we don't come out to a slow start like we did, we win. I wouldn't consider anything different. The name on the front of the jersey, I feel like, honestly, we should have won this game, but we just got off to a slow start. I mean, it's a rivalry game, but regardless, I feel like we should have won that game. And, I'm not into moral victories, and I want to win, but we're going to have to move on, and, we'll see them again. Unfortunately,
It just feels like that's all it really was. Hell of a fight, but it's a gigantic moral victory for a couple of reasons. And, Jerome Tang here with some takeaways from his team's performance.
I thought we executed the game plan on how we wanted to attack them offensively and put them in some difficult situations. I thought that defensively we tried to do what we wanted to. Part of our inability to do it was credit to them.
They tried, folks. Defensively there just wasn't a whole lot to say because this just bothered me all to hell. Because KU scored 45 points in the second half. So did K-State. So shout out to K-State offensively. Defensively, different story. Because KU scores 45 points. They made 1-3.
They shot 68.2% in the second half.
They were pretty much unstoppable. My girlfriend was laughing at me. Not the biggest sports fan. She kind of doing her own thing. And I'm in the living room watching the game. I got my laptop out. We have our stat broadcast. We can watch the stats live as the statisticians there in Allen Fieldhouse update them. And it's way ahead of obviously me watching the TV. It's about a minute ahead. And K-State, I noticed, he hit a 3-yard within 6. And I look down and I see the stat as KU gets a 3-point or hits a 2 or something, the stretch at 8, and then it's back out to 10. And she could just hear me cussing in the living room, and she's just laughing at me because this was just a major tease. It was like, what was it, when they went to overtime a few years or 6 years ago in Allen Fieldhouse? I'm like, what a tease that was. A team that doesn't belong, being in this game against KU, all of a sudden has a chance to pull off a comeback. But again, only within 6. It was still a 2-possession game. And K-State just couldn't get any closer there with the under 4 timeout. K-State did not. It came up empty. They could have got closer, but they came up empty on that possession, and then Jayhawks stretch it back to a double-digit lead. So K-State will play twice this week. They'll be taking on the Baylor Bears, 8 o'clock from Waco, Texas. And pregame coverage will start at 7 o'clock right here on News Radio KMAN, and then hosting West Virginia on Saturday. That game, let's see, do I have it here? They'll be tipping off at 5 p.m. against the Mountaineers Saturday here in town. All right, let's take a timeout this week and last week in the Big 12. By the way, we're out at 5:30. National Championship pregame coverage is at 5:30. More Wildcat Insider is next.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
WTC Fiber Internet is on its way to all of Manhattan. Sign your home or business up today at WTCKS.com. No contracts, no data caps, or overage fees. Fast, local, reliable. WTC Fiber Internet. Sign up today at WTCKS.com.
Midwest Ace, around the block with what you need in stock with people who know how to help. Shop in-store or online for whatever your home or your yard needs. Choose from top brands like Milwaukee, Steel, Traeger, and Benjamin Moore. Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks.
Connect to anywhere in the world with 5 daily flights to Dallas and Chicago when you fly local with Manhattan Regional Airport. You'll spend less time driving, saving you gas and time. And more importantly, you'll get home quicker to the ones you love. Click your next flight at flymhk.com.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
Loaded Tortilla Soup is back at Qdoba. Savory veggie broth packed with flavor from tomatoes, peppers, onions, and spices. Enjoy loaded tortilla soup in a bowl or crunchy tortilla shell with your favorite protein and craveable toppings. That's right, the soup sensation fans have been raving about has returned, but not for long, so get it while it's hot. Order today at your local Qdoba, online at qdoba.com, or in the app.
Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show comes to your radio every Friday morning at 10 a.m. We will discuss timely gardening and landscape topics to help you keep your lawn and garden in tip-top shape. Blueville Nursery has been your local landscape service and garden store for over 50 years, and we want to share our time-tested techniques with you. From vegetable gardening, spring and summer annuals, to shade trees and lawn care, we'll cover it all. You're welcome to call into the show to ask questions that apply to your own landscape or garden. Stay tuned to Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. right here on News Radio KMAN.
Hey, Wildcat fans, baseball season will be here soon, and season tickets for the 2025 K-State baseball season are on sale now. Be here as the Batcats look to build on last year's strong 35-win campaign that included a regional championship. Order your tickets today, starting at less than $5 per game, and secure a seat for all 23 of this year's home games. To order, visit kstatesports.com or call 1-800-221-2287. We can't wait to see you in Toynton.
Can you help me access my work computer now that I'm working from home?
We can do that. Is it possible for you to troubleshoot my computer without me coming into your store? We can do that.
I'm getting messages that my password's been compromised by hackers.
We can.
And that I have malware installed.
We can.
I don't even go to the mall.
We can do all of that. Fox Business Systems business level support. We can do that.
Call 776-1452 or stop by 531 Fort Riley Boulevard. WeBuildSolutions.com.
At Stormont Vale Health, our patients are our neighbors and our communities are home.
We invest in your health and our community by bringing high-quality healthcare closer to home. From our Wamego Clinic to our new campus in Manhattan and the Flint Hills Hospital in Junction City. Our partnerships with organizations like the Mayo Clinic and the Children's Miracle Network bring top-notch expertise to our region. We take pride in local collaboration to stay connected to our communities. Visit StormontVale.org.
Stormont Vale Health. High quality care closer to home.
If Kansas weather has taught us anything, it's to be prepared for everything. It's time to call M&S Plumbing, Heating and Air to make sure your furnace is ready. From full safety inspections to replacing your furnace, M&S Plumbing will keep you and your family warm this winter. If it's been a while since you've had your furnace serviced and inspected, be sure to call and schedule your appointment today. Simple fixes now can save you big money later.
Call the experts who care. M&S Plumbing, Heating and Air.
Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area weather forecast tonight: frigid, mostly clear, and a low around -10. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 23. Wind chill values are going to be anywhere between -1 and -11, with gusts of wind as high as 25 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy and a low around 15. Wednesday, partly sunny and a high near 36. Right now, real feel is 3 degrees with a high of 13 for the rest of the evening. Now back to Wildcat Insider on News Radio KMAN.
All right, let's take a look at the Big 12 last week and this week. We'll start with the men's side. It starts for me on Wednesday. Number 2, Iowa State knocks off number 9, Kansas at Hilton Coliseum, 74-57. It was a closer game than that throughout most of the contest, but the Cyclones pull away. Curtis Jones with a huge game, 25 points. KU turned it over 17 times. And then a couple of games also stand out to me on Saturday. One of them has to do with Iowa State. The Mountaineers of West Virginia beat them at the WVU Coliseum 64-57. So Iowa State no longer perfect in Big 12 play. They're now 5-1. The fans stormed the court. Javon Small with 27 points.
Yeah, and they had the special throwback jerseys to honor Jerry West also. So his family was there. So that's a cool moment. One of the better games that I was kind of looking at over the weekend was UCF in Houston.
Yeah. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, UCF had a fairly substantial lead in the second half and then kind of let it go, and Houston won on a go-ahead layup. Juwan Roberts, 1.1 seconds left to go, and they continue on undefeated in conference play.
One other game for the men I want to mention from last week. This also from Saturday. Texas Tech ending Arizona's perfect start to Big 12 play, 70-54. I mean, United Supermarkets Arena was rocking as Arizona's now 5-1 in Big 12 play. Tech's first Big 12 home win this year. TJ Toppin, who K-State recruited heavily, with 20 points and 16 rebounds, a gigantic double-double. Games this week for K-State again. They're at Baylor at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. Saturday hosting West Virginia, so the gauntlet still tough as they're still in the middle of playing 5 really tough games in a row. West Virginia, that game tips off at 5 o'clock. The only other notable game this week, in my opinion, is a top 15 matchup. That is Houston visiting Kansas. I'm picking Houston to win that game. That'll be at 5:30 Saturday on ESPN. Take a look at the men's standings. Houston's the only team still undefeated in Big 12 play at 6-0. Maybe they're due. We'll see. 5-1 Iowa State and Arizona. 4-2 is KU, Tech, and West Virginia. K-State right now tied for 14th with Arizona State at 1-5. There's only one team winless in Big 12 play. That is Colorado, the Colorado Buffaloes. All right, on the women's side in Big 12 play from last week, there was a monster upset. Houston winless in Big 12 play, by far the worst team in Big 12 play this year. They beat number 24 Oklahoma State 79-76. Oklahoma State almost with a big comeback after consecutive turnovers by Houston, but they fall short by 3. On Friday, TCU beats number 23 Utah 81-73. Sedona Prince, their starting center, who's 6'7", 23 points. And on Sunday, a pretty big win for West Virginia, beating Iowa State 82-68. This week, K-State playing just one time. They are now, by the way, guys, K-State women's basketball, number 10. They are a top 10 team officially once again. At Colorado for a 2 p.m. start. That'll be on Saturday. Baylor losing to number 1 UCLA earlier today in the Coretta Scott King Classic. My two other notable games this week are actually both having to do with TCU. Before K-State plays them on the 2nd of February, maybe a bit of a tough week. Oklahoma State looking for a bounce-back game. They're going to be hosting TCU, who are now number 9 in the country, on Wednesday at 6:30. And then number 25 Baylor visiting number 9 TCU Sunday, 2 o'clock on ESPN2. Updated basketball standings in Big 12 play on the women's side. It's still K-State, TCU, 7-0. Big 12 play. Only one team is 6-1. That is Baylor, followed by 2 teams who are 5-2. That is Oklahoma State and West Virginia. And then Utah, Iowa State at 4-3. Everybody else either at 500 or below 500 in Big 12 play. There's only one team without a win now in the Big 12 in conference play. UCF is 0-7. K-State still to play UCF. All right, hour 2, we're out at 5:30. Jeff Minnie's been here before. Jerome Tang, encouraged by the KU game. Both these coaches moving forward with the rest of the season after some adversity next on Wildcat Insider.
What? You want more? You got more. More of the game coming up next on News Radio KMAN, Manhattan.
K-Man Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
Your News Radio KMAN Manhattan area weather forecast tonight. Mostly clear and a blistering -10 out for the low. Northwest wind around 5 miles per hour, becoming calm later in the evening. Tomorrow, sunny and a high near 23. Wind chill values between -1 and -11, with wind gusts as high as 25 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy and a low around 15. Wednesday, partly sunny and a high near 36. We are going to be in a cold weather advisory in effect from tonight starting at 6 until tomorrow at noon. Hour 2 of Wildcat Insider on News Radio KMAN.
Love the Unsolved Mysteries coming back. In Wildcat Insider, it's one of the best themes of all time, TV theme songs of all time. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson. Tim's from the Manhattan Mercury, also a host on PowerCat Game Day, and Cole Dutchendorf on the board today. Phone lines, text lines are open. 785-537-1350. Again, the phone number if you want to feel free to chime in. 785-537-1350, either phone line or text line. Feel free to give us your 2 cents about K-State hoops, either on the women's or men's side. Well, the breaking news for earlier today is if you watched the K-State women beat Arizona yesterday, 81-69, Arizona State rather, 81-69, that Ayoka Lee left the game with about 4 minutes to go in the second quarter, did not return. There is a fracture once again in her foot. I haven't confirmed yet, and maybe this will be news a little bit later down the road, if she's going to need surgery or not. I mean, my guess, if she's going to be out that extended period of time, if I do the math here, before the end of the regular season, I guess it's about 5 weeks or so. So, I mean, who knows? But we just know that the timetable is hopeful that she'll be back before the end of the regular season, which I don't know about you guys, but I thought the worst. And I thought she was cooked. She was done. Her career had come to an end collegiately, and it's this team to try to fight on the rest of the way. But if she can be back by March in a postseason run, you know what? I'm absolutely going to take that. There's still a lot of hope. There's still a chance this team could win a Big 12 championship, but they're going to need players to step up. And I want to get to a couple of thoughts about the men coming up here in just a few moments as well. The real unfortunate thing about this, and we're going to hear from Jeff Mitty here in just a second, is that he has been here too many times. This is now the fourth time in Ayoka Lee's career that she is going to miss a long period of time, a significant amount of playing time because of an injury. Twice preseason injuries that ended her entire year, did not play, twice that happened. And now this is the second year in a row, it's a foot injury that she's going to miss a significant amount of time. Last year was a whole month, and this year it sounds like it could be another month. Here's what I'll say. The brass there at K-State Athletics, Gene Taylor, Casey Scott, everybody goes, I hope you're listening. I personally volunteer to bring tools, hammer, crowbar, jackhammer, whatever I need, to rip up that damn floor at the basketball training facility, do whatever modifications that need to be made, and replace the floor by hand to try to fix this continued issue of bigs and lower leg injuries at K-State. Because everybody's bringing up the comparison of Dean Wade, who went through this twice. But there's other players that went through this as well. What is it about K-State and foot injuries? It's an incredible common issue, and you don't hear about it elsewhere. So I'm just putting together the common denominators here and trying to draw up a conclusion. I don't know what I'm half serious about that.
Especially during the Bruce Weber period, there were quite a few. It wasn't just Dean Wade. It was like Nigel Shadd, and there were a couple other players that got to wear the got to wear the boot in their time.
Wait, who was it? Oh God, I'm blanking on the name. It's not Nigel Shad, but it was who got suspended like for 13 games or like 9 games because they're involved in that fight in Allen Fieldhouse, but didn't play because out with a foot injury. I can't remember who that was, but it's just another example.
It's the guy that would have gotten hit with the James Love.
Was it James Love? I don't remember.
I think it's James Love.
I remember making the joke. It was like, well, actually, no, it wasn't me. It was Fran that made the jokes like, well, that's the most we've seen of that guy this year. Maybe the foot's okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's ready to brawl, but I can't remember who that was. But this has happened so often. Cole, do you have it?
I pulled it up. It is James Love.
Okay.
Antonio Gordon was also suspended for 3 games.
Antonio Gordon. What a name.
Totally forgot about that guy.
What a blast from the past.
Back when there was 2 Gordons on the team, Antonio and Dejuan Gordon.
Dejuan, yeah.
That was a bad day. That was a blowout.
Well-traveled. Yes,
Well, because it was Dejuan, right, that stole the ball and went to the layup and just got swatted.
Yes. Yeah.
And then here comes the fight, and then here comes a chair, and was it Silvio De Sousa that grabbed the chair? And boy, what a time.
The NCAA's favorite boy, Silvio. Yep.
But Jeff Mittie has been here just unfortunately too many times. However, is K-State best equipped now to deal with this? I think they are. Now that we know Ayoka Lee is going to be back hopefully before the end of the regular season, I think that should calm the panic mode. I think a lot of us were, and I could just speak for myself, but it did feel like we were all just crushed for Ayoka Lee. Just her having to miss any time because of an injury is just not right. She has already missed a ton of time because of that. Her becoming the all-time leading scorer at K-State gave her actually more merit for that because she's playing 5 seasons. It's not the same. Kendra Wecker didn't play 5 seasons, but she did play more games than Ayoka Lee prior to Ayoka Lee setting the record. Just had the blessing of COVID year, all that stuff, injury stuff, getting to play that extra year. Now she's using her last year of eligibility that she does have, rightfully so, to play a 5th year of basketball, a full season of basketball. Prior to Kennedy Taylor, Jeff Mittie just had the worst luck of finding backups for Ayoka Lee. Not to mention names, but it just wasn't good. It just wasn't there.
It was not.
And so when Yoki would, previously would have to sit out, you're reinventing the playbook. It's a much different looking offense. You're having to shoot more shots, shoot more from 3, and the percentages typically weren't good. But they were able to manage to win a few games in last year. They actually started well without Ayoka Lee in a big win against Baylor on the road, beating BYU in a tough contest. And then, they would lose a couple of games to Texas and Oklahoma. Yoki comes back, but it's a 4-5 stretch the rest of the way. It's really about the comeback to me once she's back. How does the team perform? But K-State now, the majority of these gals on this team have been here. Mm-hmm. They have been through this. It's nothing new. But I just question, all right, who steps up and how consistent will it be? Because I'm here to tell you, 2 of the next 4 games, you're going to face Audie Cricks of Iowa State. You're going to face now I'm blanking on her name, Prince, whatever the hell her first name is. Sedona. From TCU. Both incredible scores. 2 of the top 4 scorers in the Big 12, both overall and in conference play. They are going to be extremely tough to stop. Yeah. Now, Crooks does not play the most minutes. I'm not sure what Sedona Prince is at. But how can K-State answer that threat? Honestly, outside of that threat, and how well K-State's been able to move the basketball, because let me tell you something. My favorite stat from the win yesterday over Arizona State, K-State on 29 field goals, 26 assists.
That's crazy.
First of all, 26 assists alone is an incredibly high number. On 29 made field goals, that is called teamwork, ladies and gentlemen. They can move the basketball, but also opposing defenses are going to adjust as well. The paint won't be as much of a priority. They may just camp somebody there, just man up, and force K-State to beat them on some pressure defense and hit some jumpers. Now, I will say, though, K-State has been very good with their jumpers lately. From 3-point range, Tamira Poindexter has been K-State's best player lately. She's been extremely good. She is that All-American that we were Actually, let me put it this way. From three-point range, she's been better than expected. She's been at best 32% at Tulsa, and right now, over the last 4 games, Tamira's 53% from three. On the season, she's almost 40%. That's way better than how she was performing at Tulsa. And don't count out players like Serena Sundell, Jalen Glenn. Jalen's a great defender. Serena's just a stat stuffer across the board and a good defender. But K-State does have to step up on their 2-point defense because it was vulnerable without Lee out there for an extended period of time, and they suffered a little bit. Arizona State was really good with their athleticism. A team that's had not much success this year to score inside the arc. 3-point range wasn't necessary. They still scored 69 with also getting to the line. But the hope is that K-State is well prepared for this scenario because they've just been there too many times.
Yeah, and I think that a big catalyst that they've not had before is someone you already mentioned, is Tamira. I mean, you have someone who is used to being the focal point of an offense that was very successful of being that during her time in Tulsa. And I guarantee that she's going to be one of the people that is just like, all right, we're going to need you to, offensively, you're going to have to carry more of a load. You're going to have to be, one of the people that we can count on consistently, putting up some numbers for us. Defensively, it's just going to be tougher. That's on the biggest thing that they lose with the loss of Ayoka Lee is on the defensive side. Just having that guaranteed rim protection, having someone that other teams fear down low, that's no one's going to hesitate to drive at Gisela Sanchez or Eliza Maupin or even Kennedy Taylor right now. And that could change, and you hope that one of them or a couple of them really start to kind of establish themselves, especially for the 2 younger forwards, because that's who K-State is counting on going into next year, and it would be nice to kind of get some things rolling there, like they've been able to do with some of their young guards.
And Jeff Mitty commented after the game about his team playing without Ayoka Lee.
I thought Maupin gave us a big lift. I thought Gisela Sanchez gave us a lift. Certainly, Poindexter made a lot of shots. We moved the ball well in that third quarter when we needed to, and were able to find enough offense.
I mean, the biggest adjustment I could see potentially coming, because K-State, is now traditionally playing without a center. Kennedy Taylor, it reminded me last year, K-State football. Will Howard's your starting quarterback, but in that first game, here comes Avery Johnson. Here comes the freshman. He played very well. He scored a touchdown, and he kind of stole the show. Remember that first game against Green Bay? Kennedy Taylor, 16 points, 11 rebounds. She stole the show. She was more entertaining to watch than Ayoka Lee, your All-American. Plus, remember all these blowouts K-State had for so much of this season afforded K-State to play a lot of these bench players for a lot of minutes. I think Amani Lester's better, but she's been inconsistent a little bit in Big 12 play. She's been pretty good in games. In some games, just plays like 3 minutes against Arizona State because she struggled on both ends of the floor. Kennedy Taylor, her minutes have been much less in Big 12 play compared to non-conference play. Only one time she played more than 9 minutes, and that was against Texas Tech, which she did play very well. 13 points. She got herself more minutes thanks to the separation on the points and just playing well. But she hasn't shot more than 33% this season in Big 12 play, other than one game. Eliza Maupin, her minutes limited as well, but she was a pretty solid spark, but she's not that shutdown 5. She's not a center. She's pretty skinny. She's tall, but she's very skinny, not muscular. And then you also have Gisela Sanchez, who will have to step in as well, but she's she'll kind of play all over the floor, but she's not one to play post-up defense either. You can't replace Ayoka Lee. She is your traditional center that can shut down a lot of the top 5s in the nation. K-State, strategically might have to start double teaming on defense to shut down those 5s, which leaves them vulnerable to 3-point shooting. So it's a little bit scary to think about. We'll see how they work things out. It'll depend on the game. I want to jump over to the K-State men's basketball team because, what I really took away from K-State's performance, Jerome Tang had a ton of energy on the sideline. I think he was starting to feed off his team scoring a little bit. He was not sitting down for most of the game. He was very active, trying to keep the team pumped up, keep them, cheering them along. And I think you saw the team respond. And I'm not a big moral victory guy. K-State lost that game by 10. They were within 6 with less than 4 minutes to go. Couldn't get any closer. But I was pretty impressed by the team's fight, because when you're 7-9, you're kind of counting yourself out at that point. Maybe it becomes a more individual game, which I would say it's kind of gone the opposite way. It's become less of an individual game and more of a team performance game, but led by Coleman Hawkins, and David Castillo was really good as well, who finished with 6 points, but he played 23 minutes and had the best plus-minus. Here was Jerome Tang after the game on Saturday, the loss in Allen Fieldhouse by 10, 84-74, that final score. Jerome Tang, his takeaways, he felt like the team was playing connected.
I saw really positive body language out there. I saw guys moving forward the whole time, and so I like what we were. I didn't like the results. I haven't liked the results, but I'm not basing this on results. We're right now, we got to keep getting better to get what we want, and that's what I see in these guys and in the team and in the locker room.
Despite how bad they were on defense, I think K-State shocked a lot of us by how well they played.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, like Jerome Tang said at the end of that clip, part of what's made fans so mad is that it just hasn't felt like things have been progressing. It's one thing to be let down that the team is not as good as you thought they were going to be, but through the first half of the season, it just felt like they were floundering. This at least feels like positive steps forward towards being a team that isn't embarrassing and awful to watch.
Wanted to play one more clip as we're kind of in fast forward mode here, because we only got about 7 minutes left. We still need to take another break. Wanted to play a clip from Coleman Hawkins. He was asked a tough question by Mason Voth about basically asking were there regrets about transferring to K-State after a pretty solid career at Illinois and things not working out and still having half the season to go. And what Hawkins pretty much said is that he's not giving up.
Coach talks all the time about fighting through adversity and manning up, and it's my job to man up and persevere. I'm going to play out the season and try to win as many games as I can for this program. And, yeah, that's where my mindset is. We're right there to shocking a lot of people. And I think, very soon, I think we're going to start winning basketball games. So just going to persevere and going to play hard regardless.
I'm a firm believer that Coleman Hawkins speaks his mind. Jerome Tang was he whispered, under kind of trying not to catch up on the microphone, but you could hear it that he told Coleman, you don't have to answer that if you don't want to. He answered it. I think he answered it quite well. He's somebody that speaks his mind. He speaks with honesty. Anybody that kind of if you count out Hawkins because he got paid $2 million or he's not living up to whatever your potential was, I discredit all that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he's trying to play his ass off. Mm-hmm. And I think you saw that in Allen Fieldhouse on Saturday, where he was trying to lead the team to a comeback. If he was touching the basketball offensively, some really good things were happening.
No, I agree. I think that everything that we've seen out of Coleman, it doesn't make the losing better necessarily, but you do appreciate how a guy in his position is going about his business. This could be a whole lot worse if he were actually checked out and not, taking his paycheck and walking out the door mentally. But he wants this. He wants to do well. He wants to do well for K-State. He wants to do well for himself and his teammates, and you can respect that quite a bit.
All right, we got to take our final break. Maybe squeeze in a little national championship action when we come back. As pregame coverage a few moments away. You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
In a world that thrives on connection, the power of community leadership is more important than ever. In just 90 minutes on February 11th, starting at 7:30 in the morning, the annual 60 and 60 Leadership Breakfast presented by the Manhattan Mercury and Manhattan Chamber of Commerce will take place at the Manhattan Convention Center Hilton Garden Inn. An inspiring morning filled with knowledge, connection, and empowerment. 6 leaders in our community will present their company's most successful programs, provide tools and ideas that you can use to grow as a leader and as a company. Tickets can be purchased online at tickets.themercury.com/events. Attendees will receive 60 ideas in an exclusive supplement package that will give you the knowledge to grow personally as well as professionally. 60 in 60, February 11th from 7:30 to 9:30. Presented by the Manhattan Mercury, the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce, and News Radio KMAN.
At McCown Gordon Construction, we improve lives by building authentic relationships. No matter the project size, our clients enjoy unmatched talent and resources in the Manhattan area market. Early collaboration with our pre-construction team ensures cost certainty, preventing surprises. Whether it's education space for learning or healthcare space for healing, we build to serve the community. McCown Gordon Construction, proud builder for K-State and the KSU Foundation. Visit McCownGordon.com.
Suicide prevention starts when we learn the signs and symptoms of mental illness and reach out to our loved ones. Talking about suicide and providing support are just 2 actions that may save a life. Help is just a phone call away. Dial or text 988 to connect with the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or contact Pawnee Mental Health Services Crisis Unit at 1-800-609-2002. Both are available day or night.
Now with the best friends.
Okay, used to be a best friend of the K-State media. That's Will Howard. As we wrap up Wildcat Insider, we're out in a few minutes. Pre-game coverage of the national championship game, Ohio State and Notre Dame, kicks off at 5:30. Kickoff of the actual game from Atlanta just after 6:30. Tim, what do you think? And our old boy, former K-State quarterback Will Howard, in a very distant way now, kind of representing the Cats. I saw him take some pictures with some K-State fans earlier today in Atlanta. Saw that on social media. Can Will Howard, do you think Ohio State will get it done? They're a big favorite.
I think so. I think that they've turned a corner after, I think that Michigan loss helped them realize some things. And then ever since they hit the playoff, it's just been, it's been kill mode pretty much the entire time. So I think that Will's going to have a great game. I'm still kind of suspicious of Notre Dame. That sounds weird considering who they've beaten, but I'm not 100%. There's some offensive things that aren't up to snuff, and I think that Ohio State's just got all the guns in the world, and they got a very smart guy pulling the trigger behind those guns in Will Howard. So I like it.
Well, here's my only concern. I would say Notre Dame is up there as having maybe the most elite secondary in college football. Under pressure, Will Howard, he still has some bad habits that he had at K-State with some late throws. He throws interceptions. He has, for whatever reasons, bad accuracy thrown to the right flat. It's kind of still the same thing. It's just around better talent. With that being said, I think it's a low-scoring game. The over-under for points is only 45.5. So a low-scoring game. I think I see it coming down like it was between Ohio State and Texas. A late score, 2-score win. I'm taking Ohio State. Will Howard to win the national championship game. And with that, we are getting out of here. We're with you for a full 2 hours tomorrow. For Cole Dutchendorf, Tim Everson, I'm Mitch Fortner. Go Cats.
Getting you closer to the locker room than anyone else. This is Wildcat Insider. Wildcat Insider, an exclusive presentation of the flagship station of the K-State Sports Network. News Radio 1350, KMAN.